Alright, so today we're going to be making homemade biscuits of the buttermilk or naan variety, depending on if you have buttermilk or not. So you're going to start with a bowl filled with 2 cups of flour. My favorite brand is King Arthur. I think it makes the fluffiest, nicest biscuits. And to that you're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/3 teaspoon of baking soda. And so you kind of give that all a good toss together. And to that we're going to cut in 1 stick of butter, and you can go ahead and cube it. If you have a pastry cutter, this is the best way to do it, but if not, you can just use your hands. And the trick to this is that you want the butter to be as cold as possible. So if you want to cube it and stick it in the freezer, that'll help you out. So we're going to work it into the dough until it resembles horse crumbs, or the butter's in pea-sized pieces. So you kind of want to make like a snapping motion with your fingers like that. Takes a good minute. If you want to invest in a good pastry cutter, or make sure to have one on hand, it probably would take no more than 30 to 45 seconds to get this job done. And lots of people like to use shortening in their biscuits. Don't listen to them. Butter is way better. Butter is better. So we're almost there. You can kind of see the big chunks of butter are gone, and it looks really crumbly. Okay, so now what I like to do is kind of make a well in the middle. And I have 3/4 cups of milk or buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, a good shortcut is to use regular milk and then add a teaspoon or 2 of vinegar or apple cider vinegar. And the acidity just works really, really well to help the biscuits get their best possible rise. So we'll pour that in. And you're gonna have messy hands. That's just how it goes. Give it a good fold. And biscuit dough can be tricky because you don't want to underwork it, but you also don't want to overwork it. So fold it just until it's all incorporated. And it's not going to be a super dry dough, but it's also not going to stick to your hands terribly. Okay, now we're going to flour our surface. As well as flour your biscuit cutter. I left my biscuit cutter at home. If you don't have one, a glass with a sharp, straight edge rim works fine. And we're gonna dump out our biscuit dough onto our surface. And I find that this recipe makes about 6 good sized biscuits. You can do mini biscuits if you want, of course, and make double that. And this is the trick to getting flaky layers. You wanna kind of pat it out into a rectangle. And we're going to fold it into thirds. And then once you folded it that way, rotate it and fold it into thirds again. And while I'm here, I forgot to mention that you can use either salted or unsalted butter. I prefer salted for a salty biscuit taste. And my favorite brand is Kerrygold, but any kind really works. So once you've done your folding in thirds about 3 times, pat it out. I like to do it till it's like 3/4 of an inch thick or so. And then you're gonna wanna cut your biscuit. And it's kind of an exact science and not at the same time. You want to cut straight down and never twist. So that's what it should look like. And it's okay if you run out of dough to kind of re-roll your scraps, but it's never gonna have a smooth top like the original biscuits would. So after we cut 5 pretty ones, I usually take the scraps, or most of them, and we make what we call the ugly biscuit. So you can just roll them into a ball and kind of pat it like so and toss it on your baking tray. And you want to situate your biscuits close together. Don't spread them far apart because the steam is actually going to help each one rise. So then we're going to put it in a 425-degree oven and we'll come back. So your biscuits are done when the top is golden brown. You can optionally brush butter on for baking. It gives you a more brown top. But you can see all the pretty layers we made by folding our biscuit dough. And they have a nice rise on them from using some good flour and good butter technique. So I hope that you have now learned that you too can be a successful biscuit baker with the right tips, tricks, tools, ingredients, and lots of practice.